morning, everyone. Welcome to the Charity First Handicapping Challenge Show. This has been it was a really exciting show yesterday. I hope you tuned in. And today we got two stellar guests, and these guys have a little bit of a rivalry going. So it should be an exciting show as well today. They're both excellent handicappers, highly respected. And again, in this show, they're going to have a $300 bankroll, and they're going to try to turn it into more than $1,000. Because if they do, then Karma will receive an additional $500 from Santa Anita. They'll be, handicapping for charity, and it's great to have you guys on the show. Chappie, good morning.
Good morning, George. Yeah, I'm looking forward to today. Yesterday, we had quite the afternoon coming down to the last race and some great handicapping. And hopefully today the weather holds better. You know, so far, no rain. To be determined. Ellis has been our weatherman, so hopefully he'll give us an update a little bit later on what we're expecting. But hopefully it holds off for today, and we get some good handicapping and make some good money for charity.
Yeah, Ellis will tell you how much rain we're getting within like 1/16 of an inch. So
that's right. Yeah, the weathermen get away with murder compared to us handicappers.
That's right. We got to use all the analytics we can. All right, it's time to meet our contestants. And mine is, you guys know him, Anonymous Man, but he's Dan Jorman.
I told you should have told me Dan T.
Jorman. I thought it was Jorman. But he's highly respected, works for America's Best Racing, started EQ Convention. He's got, he wears a lot of hats, writes. He's from New York, so I love him already. You know, a fellow New Yorker. I grew up in Manhattan. He's from Brooklyn, Queens. We almost got all the boroughs covered. Yep. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. You mentioned hats. Obviously, today I'm representing, the other side, the East Coast of the Stronach family here with the Pegasus World Cup today. So excited about that. Excited to be on this show. Do a little handicapping to Santa Anita, and we got a lot of other stuff in the works too. I know we're going to talk about in a little bit. So totally pumped to be here.
All right, Chappie.
Yeah, Ellis Starr is the national racing analyst for Equibase, a public handicapper, and he does his picks every day on the Santa Anita website. And he's a former West Coaster and also, as you just learned, part-time weatherman. Well, Ellis, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I do say that the weathermen can get away with murder. If we had to have a guarantee on our picks like the weathermen, and they could be off by 1,000,000 miles and get away with it. We don't have that luxury. So thanks for having me on. It's appreciative. I only wear one hat. This one, people don't know it if I don't wear it. It's my profile. And if I lose this hat, then I become non-existent.
Well, you're looking quite sharp, and you've got a good luck charm, you said, over your shoulder there, right?
I got the Force. The Force is with me.
You're going to need it.
Ooh, all right. He's throwing down early. May the horse be with you.
Yep.
And Dan, you mentioned it. Our sister track over there in the East Coast having a huge day today with, of course, the $4 million Pegasus World Cup. A couple of great, a lot of graded stakes races. The last two are the big ones. And any opinions? Do you think Nick's Go is going to be taking them wire to wire?
I think there's a pretty good chance. Obviously you're going to want to try to get creative in betting the race. Nick's Go is going to be, right at even money thereabouts. And so you ain't going to have too much fun just betting the horse to win. My feeling is you're going to have a couple of horses, some of the other top contenders, try to keep up with him. And, those horses will obviously, I think to a certain extent, burn themselves out. I think it could open up for some horses that are, maybe sitting third flight, not too far off because it is hard to close ground still. But, a horse, sort of a mid-pack to sort of second to third tier horse, I think could potentially make a move late and round out a nice exacta. A couple of the horses that I was looking at, Coastal Defense, I think is going to be a big price, is an improving horse, got a late start, seems to be coming on. I think there's a little bit of upside there. And then another horse that I like a lot too is Kiss Today Goodbye. I mean, Mike Smith traveling cross country with everything going on to ride this horse. I mean, sometimes it's that obvious. I mean, he sees something, I see something.
Yeah, the horses have gotten really good lately. And we actually had Pete Aiello on our radio show this morning talking a little bit about Nick's Go. I mean, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't going with Nick's Go early. But he thought maybe 1.1 miles might be a little too far. or is this horse just turned the corner since it's gotten to Brad Cox? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that's he's looked like a completely different horse. I mean, he was perfect last year, the way he closed out the year, winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with ease. The horse finished second to him, by the way, Jesus's team back in this race as well, was a big price there. Is probably going to be another big price here. And he's he's proven over Gulfstream Park too. So that's another one of the closer sort of mid-pack horses that you could look to maybe fill out an exacta or a trifecta. But yeah, look, Knicks go, Joel Rosario up the past 2 times. It seems like they've just got this horse in a groove, and they're just going in supremely confident. I don't think anyone's fast enough to hang with him. I mean, if he goes another half mile in 45 seconds, he'll have enough to get to the finish line, and they won't be able to get to him. So I'm fairly confident. Ellis, what was your take on this?
Well, I'm a Knicks Go fan. I singled him on Breeders' Cup Day. People say that I like to say, people say they don't understand why he got good. Well, his third and fourth starts as a 2-year-old, I believe, were fantastic when he won the Breeders' Futurity wire to wire at 70-1, then proved it wasn't a fluke when he was second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And whatever happens, horses sometimes just don't like their surroundings. Maybe they tried him on turf, a bunch of other stuff. He's back to go into the lead. If anybody takes him on, it compromises their own chances. He's my second best bet of the day. I'll just throw out real quick. My best bet of the day is a horse named This Is My Time in the inside information. I'm actually playing a pick 4, so I'm going to one up Mr. Dan here, and I'm going to give out a pick 4 real quick, which is This Is My Time with Knicks Go. Wow. That's my pick 4. So
I love it.
So Dan, I kind of like Code of Honor, but I'm a little perplexed. Johnny V been on this runner every race, and all of a sudden shows up in the biggest race of the year, and Tyler Gaffleone is on him, and Johnny V goes to what seems to me, Mr. Freeze, a long shot. How do you explain that jockey change?
Yeah, I think it's a bit head scratching. Obviously Johnny and Code of Honor go back to the beginning, right? I mean, he was aboard for the Fountain of Youth win. He was aboard for the Travers and the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And so it is kind of interesting to see him hop off. And like you said, it's not like he's hopping off to ride Knicks Go, for example. He's hopping off to ride Mr. Freeze, who, even though he ran a really good race in this race last year, is not in top form right now. Certainly doesn't seem to be at his best, but weird things happen like this sometimes. And it could just be that, maybe Shug just said, hey, Johnny, I want to give Tyler a shot to ride this horse. And maybe that's what happened. You don't know. I mean, so you got to kind of sometimes read between the lines, but here there's nothing that stands out. Knowing the connections, there's nothing that stands out to me to say, hey, it's a sign or a tip, they're tipping their hand one way or another with Johnny hopping off to go to Mr. Freeze. So I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. Anyway, you could watch and wager on that exciting races and the previous race also. I think where Steve Largent, is it Steve Largent? Isn't that right? Oh, no, just Largent. Okay. Where Todd Fletcher's got like 3 of them in there. You can watch and wager on First Bet. So if you got the First Bet app, or go to firstbet.com. And we encourage you to watch all the big races in Gulfstream and the big races here as well. And speaking of that, let's get to those races and see what our handicappers have come up with. We're going to start with you, Dan. You got $100 to win on a horse. Where are you going and why?
So we're going to go to race 7. I'm going to go with Shake Me Up. This horse is a horse that I have a little bit of history with. I've tried catching him in other races. I haven't had luck. Then when I've jumped off of him, he's won. I picked this race primarily because with the weather, I thought it was a little risky to wager my $100 win bet in a turf race without knowing what was going to happen with the weather this afternoon. So I went to a dirt race where I could sort of have a little bit of a better feel for how some of these horses might perform, and I expect a little more consistency in this race, seeing as it's a grade 3, the Palos Verdes. And so, Shake Me Up. My logic basically was, ran a career best number last out in defeat. and showed some early foot, and we hadn't really seen that for most of last year. He's a horse who has shown some flashes in the past, but looks like I think now I think he's poised to run another big number in this spot. He's got that sort of natural, like Peter Miller progression playing out. Was claimed for 50,000, ran that big race last out in Allowance Company, and boom, here he is in a grade 3. I think you can expect he's going to take that logical next step. I thought the pace-wise, there's a ton of pace up front too. Take the 101, Captain Scotty. Shooter Shoot's got some speed too. So I think he's a logical horse to kind of just sit right off of him and make him, that one move late. And I think he'll be close enough. And I was fairly confident in this horse. So he's the 5 in the 7th race. Shake me up.
Shake me up is trained by Peter Miller. Just trained them and improved them big time, as Peter Miller tends to do. He's got the leading jockey, Juanito Hernandez, aboard. So looks good at 4-1. Chappie, over to you.
Yeah, Peter Miller, like we said, has been known to do that. The same connections with Tom Cagle, did the same thing with CZ Rocket recently as well. So, Ellis, where are we going with our win bet and why?
Well, we're in the same race, and Dan's got the right idea, but Dan's got the wrong horse. The horse is Pyron.
All right.
Similar, claimed by Mark Glatt, won 2 nice races in August, came back from a brief freshing in October. His last race at Del Mar was a classified allowance. He ran against Independence Hall, who's running in one of the stakes at Gulfstream today, PR Radio Star. Pyron was just beat ahead for 3rd in that race. It was very good. I love the freshing because that race back at Santa Anita on October 16th is representative of it. It's fresh. It's 6 furlongs. He gets the pace to run at. He beat Knee Deep in Snow, who came back to win off of that race. He's got a second best to 53, 5 furlong workout. Talking about Hernandez, who's doing well, but Rispoli is right on his heels, and this is where he makes up another win on him. I really like Pyron here to get all the dough in the Palos Verdes.
I like it. So Pyron, 4 wins, all 4 of those wins come at this exact distance, and it's incredible. Both of you guys both pick former claimers to win the grade 3 here today at Santa Anita.
Yeah, I from a gambling perspective, I like Ellis's pick a lot. I mean, he's going to get a much better price on his horse, which potentially means more money for charity. So I wouldn't be totally crushed if Pyron won. But yeah, I like the argument too, because I really do think the pace is going to be super hot up front, and if you're battling up there, it's going to be hard for you to hold on. So I think a horse sitting just off of them. I think Pyron Ellis's horse will probably be a little farther back, but there may just be enough pace for him to get up there.
George, go ahead, tell us.
I was going to say what we need to make sure Captain Scotty and Axeman and Knee Deep in Snow all go gadget, and then one of our horses gets up.
I just like the fact that they've got this little rivalry going. In the first play, they're both in the same race on a different horse. So this is perfect, George.
It's fantastic. I love it. And yeah, Dan, we're going to be doing some things together in the near future with America's Best Racing and Santa Anita, kind of a co-production. Tell us a little bit about what can we expect coming up here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so it's the Santa Anita Road to the Derby live show series. As you know, these streaming shows have become pretty popular. It's a great sort of accompaniment to race day, right? So if you're watching the races on TV or on your computer, on your ADW, on First Bet, you can also, alongside, have people just having a good time watching the races, doing a lot of this stuff, just talking, handicapping, sharing thoughts, bouncing ideas off of one another. Since we can't be at the track, most of us, this is sort of like having friends in the room with you talking about the races and handicapping. And so we're going to do 3 live shows that are going to coincide with the 3 big Derby preps at Santa Anita. So, we're talking about the Robert B. Lewis next week on Saturday. That'll be the first one to kick it off. Then we've got the San Felipe, which is also on Big Cap Day, March 6th. And then April 3rd, the big one, the Santa Anita Derby. We are super pumped. We are putting together some of that production right now, but we can assure you that there will be some special guests, some surprise guests. Wink, wink, Ellis. You may see him pop in, and also wink, wink, George, who we are super excited to kind of bring in for some of that local perspective. You're going to bring local knowledge in, and seeing as you follow the circuit as closely as you do. and you have for so long, you know what it's like this time of year when, which trainers are clicking, which moves you can spot and say, you know what, look, I have, I'm hearing some chatter about this horse or that horse. So we're pumped about all of it. So the Santa Anita Road to the Derby series will kick off next week, streaming on ABR and on Santa Anita social media channels.
I think it's just a very novel, unique idea, and it's a wonderful way. Like you said, since people can't get to the track, it's sort of like you're hanging out with some friends, kind of going over the races, watching them, cheering them on.
Totally.
It is a very, very cool idea. I encourage everybody that can to watch, and to also they can comment as well or ask questions, and we'll be able to respond to them via this platform.
And I'm going to say, Chappie, I didn't mean to leave you out. I just know you're busier than the rest of us. We have nothing to do but just gamble all day on Saturday. So you're certainly invited to join us. But like I said, you're a little more. Your time is a little more precious than ours.
And I
we'll
always
figure it out. You're in good hands with Georgie.
All right, here we go. We got an exacta. This could be the bet that separates you guys and get that rivalry going. You got $100 to play with, the straight exacta or two $50 exactas. Where are you going and why?
So I'm doing a $50 exacta box, which, at times people will discourage you from doing a box that large a size. They'll tell you do, 80 this way, 20 that way, based on your opinion. But I'm truly 50-50 on these two horses. In race 6, the 2-horse Kiwi's Dream and the 5-horse Shadow Sphinx. The thing about Kiwi's Dream is that he always gets to the lead, and he's generally faces a ton of pressure. I think he's going to get to the lead today and not face a ton of pressure. So I like him. Yet, in spite of that, even at times when he's had things his own way, he's still gotten beat at the line. So the good news with him, though, is he finishes first or second just about every single race. So, I mean, logically, he's a horse that I think you want to use in your exacta. And then with Shadow Sphinx, went off as the even money favorite last out in a race where Vegas Kitten, who's the 6th horse in this race, got a dream ground-saving trip on the rail. And ultimately, he outkicked Shadow Sphinx at the wire, but I wasn't totally discouraged with that effort because this horse was coming off a career top and figured to regress somewhat in that spot. And so I think now's the time to get in on this horse. I think he bounces back. And this is first out for Kristen Mulhall, who's been sending out one live runner after another. So I think you're in good hands there in terms of the barn that the horse is coming out of. And I think it's a 2-horse race in my eyes, more than any other race on the card. So race 6 went with Kiwi's Dream and Shadow Sphinx.
All right, nice exacta in race number 6. Kiwi's Dream certainly looks on paper to be lone speed and could steal this race from wire to wire. Shadow Sphinx, I bet Shadow Sphinx last time I really needed him. It just seemed like wasn't that sharp that day. Just inexplicably threw in a clunker, but was still third. Like it was like a bad race. It was still third. It was right there. I certainly expect him to improve. Kristen Mulhall doing great, 25% first off the claim, and I think we're gonna hit this exacta, and we're gonna be feeling good about ourselves. Chappie, what are you gonna do to try to catch up?
Well, I think Ellis and I are going to dominate today. But by the way, before we get to that, if you want some seed money, there is a super high 5 carryover going into race 1 today. So pay attention to that. And then once you win that money, just follow along with what Ellis does in his exacta. Ellis, where are you going with your exacta and why?
Well, I'm going to come back to the 6th for my double, by the way, and I like one of Dan's horses, the other one, But anyway, but in the 8th race, I like an exacta, and I'm going for it, and not because I'm trying to hit it out of the park, which I am for karma, great charity, but also because I really like these horses. I am going to play a $50 exacta box of the 1 Hollywood Girl and the 4 New Pie Lambda. And they're both 10-1 in the morning line. I don't think that'll hold. I think the favorites, whenever you look at a race, you look at favorites are vulnerable. The 10 Applecross, winless in 5 U.S. races, 4 of them stakes, but even at the level at 8-5 back in November at Del Mar, got beat a half a length, no excuse, and Shanghai Truffles at 7-2, off form, 3rd and 6th in her last 2. Hollywood Girl does what horses don't do on the California circuit. You don't win first time out going a mile on the grass. And she did that back in June 2019. She's by Giants Causeway out of the tremendous mare Hollywood Story, who's produced a bunch of runners, most notably Hollywood Idol. who went 5 for 6 in the money, 2 wins, 2 seconds per Stats Race Lens. Easy to look that stuff up. She had the 9 post in the red carpet. So she's getting the rail. She's dropping from grade 3 back to allowance. She's won the Santa Anita turf. Jockey Jessica Pfeiffer, who had a great Los Alamitos meet and still doing very well. I mean, for a rookie in this circuit, 18% on the year, gets the mount, and I think he'll make the most of it. That race before last, the one at this level, in which Hollywood Girl was 5th, she was 8-5 that day. And that was a race off a 2-month layoff. Maybe it was a little too short. She wasn't ready yet. Before that, at the level, she got beat a neck. So she's got 2 good, what we call representative races here. I think she's got a big shot. And the New Pi Lambda, kind of like Dan's play in the 6th, this is the speed horse. She's stretching out, even though she kind of closes in sprints. I got a feeling Victor Espinosa is going to send, because if you send from the 3 post with nobody else, you get the lead in this race. Nobody else really seems to be a need the lead type. He can control it. She's run very well on the grass so far. 1 win, 2 seconds, 2/3, never routed. City Zips are just fine going long. I have no doubt that she can get the mile. So I'm going to go for this 1-4 exacta box in the 8th.
All right, so 1-4 exacta box. And I got to tell you real quick, Ellis, I have a love-hate relationship with Hollywood Girl, because I did like her early on in the career. She had trouble breaking earlier in her career, seems to be better. But the day on August 23rd, when she lost by a nose to Muchley, I had her singled for a giant score at 6-1. And so I might play her back today. But if she loses, I might have to switch over to Team Dan. I'll give her one more try. I've always been a big fan of that horse. A lot of talent there, that's for sure.
New Pi Lambda lost, obviously, a key race as Constancia came back and crushed. So that is certainly a good sign for New Pi Lambda, who I've always liked. And, it was took this one a while to finally break the maiden, but always seemed to be right there. And a lot of times once they start winning, that light bulb turns on and they just keep on doing well. And I think that's going to be the case with New Pi Lambda. So, Ellis, you're trying to, hit it out of the ballpark here. Whoa, baby, if this one comes in, woo.
Go big or go home, George.
You have more money for Karma for sure. All right. The final bet of the day is a daily double, and you got $100 or 2 $50 doubles. Where are you going with it, Anonymous man?
I've been looking for a reason to pick a fight with Ellis this whole time, but strangely, we've agreed on so much, more than we usually do. So there's going to be some overlap here. I do have one bone to pick with him, but we partially agree on this, my double play. So the $50 double, I'm going to go back to Shush Shush Shake Me Up in race 7, the 5 horse. We'll start out. That's the only horse I'm using in race 7. And then I'm going to use 2 horses in race 8. One is New Pi Lambda. I think you've made the case for her. She's going to be lone speed, I think, stretching out. Whenever you see a horse like this showing decent amount of speed at a sprint race, going longer, you can expect her to be up front. There's no other speed in this race. Plus, as Ellis pointed out, with Victor up, a lot more aggressive than Mike Smith up front, and Victor had shown speed when riding her in the past. And so, New Pi Lambda, I think, is a real good speed value play here, depending on what you get on her. But I am going to disagree with Ellis. I think Applecross, he's riding off Applecross at his own peril because, for me, this seems to be a standout from a class perspective. She was in grade 2 and grade 3 company 3 and 4 races back, dropped into that first level allowance company and nearly won there. If you watch that replay, Flavian Pratt, he does a number on Joel Rosario. He's on this horse Beguiled, and he keeps Rosario and Applecross boxed in and then gets first run. They just held off Applecross barely, who was coming late. Look, last out, she was a little flat in the Lady of Shamrock Stakes, but she's back now at this A other than level. She's back at a level where I think pretty clearly she's a standout. Now, she may be a little pace dependent. So if that pace doesn't heat up, she may be coming on, but coming on too late. But that's why I like using her with New Pi Lambda. So if it is slow up front, that benefits New Pi Lambda. I think she can wire. And if it somehow, if the pace does, escalate and gets fast up front, a horse like Applecross, I think, is pretty logical coming from off the pace.
Another thing about Applecross, Richie Baltas certainly started the year off, not winning a lot of races, but a lot of seconds. And it looks like he's getting ready to heat up again. And he's just not one they're going to stop from winning too many races. And that one, certainly seems like the class of the race. To end the daily double, you got shake things up with the 4 and the 10 for our daily double, $50 doubles each.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of the trainers. There's a lot of trainers that are hot and cold, kind of win in bunches. Richie Baltas seems like he's heating up. Another one maybe to pay attention to, Doug O'Neill had 3 wins on the day yesterday. He had been quite cold and might be heating up as well. And I could tell Ellis is chomping at the bit to get play. He's got that smirk on his face, and he's coming after you, Dan.
I can tell.
True, because I wrote on my PPs, I wrote Apple Crossout.
I saw him salivating that whole time. I knew he was coming back strong.
I can tell just by the
I
look.
was trying to find the great pun, Apple Crossout. Anyway, I'm going the other way. I'm going from the 6th to the 7th, and I'm going to use Shadow Sphinx and Vegas Kitten, who just ran 1-3 in that race on January 3rd with Pyron. And let me make the case for both of these. Shadow Sphinx, I think we know already, went on not a tear, but he won 4 out of 5 between June and November last year. Then the race claimed, first was in Baltus's barn, then went to Glatt, and now to Kristen Mulhall, who, as George pointed out, doing very well. But she doesn't have many horses in her barn. She takes really good care of them, and I think he can get back to good form here. That wasn't too bad of a race last time out. Vegas Kitten, it probably was legit if it was off the change, but it wasn't a change. If you look back, Gary Barber owned this horse, and Cassie trained earlier in his career. They claimed him off of Ramsey, and he put together 3 wins in 2 seconds for that connections. And then when Woodbine ended, they shipped it over to Miller's barn, but Gary Barber kept the horse. So it's not a change much except trainer. And just Rosario rode great. Rosario's, of course, in Florida today. That 50,000 claiming race is a higher condition than the eligibility for this 40,000 starter. So I'm using Shadow Sphinx and Vegas Kitten. And again, I really like Pyron, so I'm going to try and hammer that double.
I like it. So the double, and obviously we got a lot riding on Pyron, who he likes quite a bit. Georgie, what do we have with the tiebreaker still to go, huh?
Tiebreaker still to go. Why don't we go? Nobody's had a pick in the last race, right? Nobody's got any action in the finale. So why don't we make the finale the tiebreaker, race number 9?
Guys, take a look at the 9th while we do
the 9th while we go with the rock paper scissors. 1, 2, 3. Paper. 1, 2, 3.
I got it.
You got it.
All right, Ellis, you go first. All we do, in case you guys are tied, if you each have a horse in the race, all you have to do is beat the other person if it comes down to the tiebreaker.
Okay. So you want me to pick something in the 9th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Best of show.
All right, best of show.
Okay, the 5 horse, best of show for Ellis. Dan?
Let's do number 3, Nurse Hardbody.
Number 3, Nurse Hardbody. Okay, I don't think it's going to come down to this, George.
Right.
We've had some sharp capping today, but just in case, the 3 against the 5.
Yeah, Eric Kruljack. Wow, what a story he's been. One with that 99-1 shot. Was really looking forward to seeing the chosen Vron, but he's scratched. Now he's got a horse in the big races at Gulfstream. So Kruljack, one of my favorite trainers, and so I wish him well, and hopefully Nurse Hardbody will get us through if we happen to end up in a tie. Our 2 handicappers who have a rivalry to begin with somehow pretty much ended up in the same races after each other. So they're really, it's like, I don't want to just beat you. I want to beat you in the race that you thought you had me. Oh man, it is on today, boy.
It's so natural. We didn't coordinate either. We didn't plan this out. We just sort of were somehow so synced up like this that like we just knew intuitively like this is the race. I know he's picking this horse. I'm going with this one.
Oh, you going with the 6? So I'm like, you want to step outside? Come on. Hey, forget about it.
I got one edge on Dan. I've been handicapping Santa Anita before dinosaurs roamed the
earth. I love it.
All right. Any last words before we go here, Chappie?
No, I just really appreciate you guys. It was great information, and I love the back and forth. And it's always great to raise money for charity, but it's great to have a good time and get some good information as well. So good luck to you both. Ellis, a little bit more luck to you. But Dan, I appreciate your time, buddy.
The fourth,
you.
right there, baby.
All right, thank you both very much. Don't forget to watch us on the on those Derby prep races, and we're gonna have a good time there as well. All right, good luck to you all, and we'll see you guys here tomorrow on the Charity First Handicapping Challenge.
Thanks.
Thanks.